How's it going, you guys? It's Scott with Everyday Home Repairs, and today I need to reconfigure these PEX water lines. We have the hot and cold going to the kitchen faucet, and then a cold water line going out to an outdoor spigot. I need to readjust those, getting them away from the top of my main electrical panel. And to do that, I want to show you the two most popular options and kind of weigh out the pros and cons so you can make a smart decision for your own home. So let's jump into it. So the two most common fittings would be on this side, Sharkbite, and over here, a brass fitting with some type of crimping ring. Now there are pinch crimping rings. This is a standard one, and this is a pro version that will help you spacing out to the end of the PEX B. I'm not going to use those, just know they are available. And then you have copper ones like this, again, standard, and then the pro version that will help you space out correctly. I'm just going to use the standard version, but I will show you the pro version just in case you want that for your own projects. And then it should be also noted, we are talking about PEX type B. You'll see the two ribs here. That would be in contrast to PEX type A, which is an expansion type of fitting. You'll expand out your PEX with a collar, and then you insert in this fitting, and that barb there, as the PEX type A contracts back down, holds it together. Now they do have different diameters. Just know, do not start buying a bunch of these at the home improvement stores if you have the standard PEX, which is PEX type B. Now with the Sharkbite, I did poll the audience, and over 700 people responded saying that 41% preferred the Sharkbite for PEX, and then 44% preferred this one. These were by far the two most popular options, but kind of even in terms of which one homeowners preferred. This is the new Max series. You can tell that by these stainless steel collars which increase the burst pressure. And then also you will not see the reinforcing PEX white insert like you did on their Generation 1, which were around for years and years and years. Depending on where you're shopping, if you go into a home improvement stores, you might see a combination now as they work through their supply of the first generation. But just try to swap over to the Max version. And these are also supposed to be easier to insert, which was a common source of problems. So we'll go ahead and try out both of these. But when it comes to price, the Sharkbite is going to be right at about $10 at $10.23 for an elbow if you're only buying one at a time. And then with our brass elbow and two copper crimp rings, we're looking at $4.59. Right away, I will tell you, if I'm ever doing a full replumb or doing a larger project, that price alone brings me over to the brass fittings just for a cost savings, but something for you to consider. Also, buying in bulk can drastically reduce your price per fitting, so look at that. And I'll show links in the description. There are actually kits on Amazon where the brass fittings are well below the prices you can get at the home improvement stores. This is not that common when it comes to any sort of building material. Usually Amazon's a little more expensive, but for whatever reason, when it comes to these PEX brass fittings, Amazon has some of the lowest prices I've seen. So we use these two water lines here, the hot and cold, to show side by side Sharkbite versus just the brass fittings with the crimp rings. And I need to change these. I got to drop these off and then extend them out this way to get them away from that electrical panel so I can clean up this electrical wiring on a future video. I've already got these crimp rings off those lines, and that is a key skill to have. Let me show you how to do that, because if you can do that without damaging your PEX, you can often save your fittings like the spigot. Maybe you can actually save some of your lines. So the key is to use a Dremel with a cutoff wheel like this and just very steadily and slowly cut off the copper ring, or cut it almost all the way through. And then once you get close to the PEX, you'll stop, and you can just use a flathead screwdriver, rotate it, and that will break open the copper ring. And then with some combination of pliers, or like I have a hybrid wire stripper there, you can easily pry that off, and now you have removed the crimping ring without issue. And you can see here, there's a little tiny groove there, but no damage to the PEX line. So I should have mentioned this earlier, but we have the water off. So now with a little negotiating, we usually can remove the fittings. You just got to get them past those two ribs. Now, if you have some extra line, which I do, I would recommend to cut back just slightly to get past those internal splines that have grooved, and also externally you'll have a little bit of a groove and some deformation of the PEX itself from the past crimping. And especially on the Sharkbite side, it's really nice to have just clean PEX to make sure the O-ring seals up properly. So for the hot water side, we'll use the Sharkbite deburring tool. This is for deburring the outside of copper, but it's also a marking tool. So you can go ahead and place the 1/2 inch PEX line in the 1/2 inch hole. You use your Sharpie to mark. This will mark 15/16 of an inch from the end. Just know the new Max series actually is 1 inch. So when we push this in, we should see most of that line go away. And this part is one of the most common errors, is once you start pressing, you will feel resistance. And sometimes people will stop after they feel that resistance and not push all the way in. So they might end there, and we do not have a complete seal with that internal O-ring. So you want to make sure you push all the way up. And you can see now we no longer see that black line, and we have the PEX fully inserted in our Sharkbite elbow, and it's good to go. And now we can extend out to our new line. So we'll take the new line in, pre-marked, and get it fully seated. And now you guys see the advantage of the Sharkbite. It was that fast to get our new elbow in place. And if you have tight spaces, you don't have the specialty tools, that is why these come in so handy. So let's go ahead and crimp on our brass fitting side and also point out a few things that can trip you up and might lead to leaks in the future. So first, do not forget to put your brass ring on and then the fitting on. Now here, you'll have a little bit of issue where the fitting will want to move on you. So depending on what line you're working on, it's going to be a little hard to keep in place. So what I like to do is just take some pliers, and I like to keep that ring about 1/8 of an inch up and just give it a little bit of a squeeze. Nothing major, but I'm just squeezing it slightly to keep it in place so I can get my crimping tool and not worry about that moving. And why that's so critical is because with 1/8 spacing, that crimp ring is going to press down on both splines and make sure you get a good seal. Too far down or too far away from your fitting, you might only be grabbing one. So just take your time and make sure it's positioned correctly. And then I'll take my crimping tool. It has a 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch. You'll see a link in the description for example tools. This one's actually made by Sharkbite. I picked it up at, I believe, Lowe's. But I would also trust iCrimp, makes a very affordable one you can get on Amazon. I have their press fitting for copper press fittings, and it's worked really well over the years and was only a fraction of the cost. Now, a common mistake is not checking your work with what's called a go, no-go gauge, which will come with any of your crimpers. So this 1/2 inch go side should fit around this without any issue. And then you have a no-go side, which it should not fit around. So we know we're good to go on that one. And the big failure of PEX B is often you can't tell just by looking at passing by if the ring is crimped on. So you might miss one, and then that could lead to a failure later on because it's actually not crimped on, it's just sitting on there. Now I will point out, remember we talked about the Crimping Pro version. All that does is it fits it on there, and that plastic stops it so it does not slide down your PEX, and also spaces it correctly on your fitting. All right, so I have a little more work to do to complete the rerouting here, but in terms of when do I use Sharkbite, when do I use the brass fittings? Sharkbite can come in extremely handy for your smaller projects. I trust them. Some people say they lead to leaks. I don't agree with that. I've had really good luck over the years, and also they're very versatile. So if I need to go from a 1/2 inch copper to PEX, that could be one Sharkbite coupling. Super easy. No tools needed, and you're up and running. So it comes in very handy for certain DIY projects. Now, if I'm doing larger projects where I need a lot of fittings because I'm really running a lot of different PEX lines, definitely going with the brass fittings, and I use the copper crimp rings, even though there are different versions. I don't use the Pro version. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'm always interested to get your feedback, and I think it helps all the other viewers as well. And then don't forget, check Amazon for their pricing with the links in the description, because if you're doing the brass ones, you might be able to buy in bulk and save about 50%. Now, if you want to dive deeper on some other DIY plumbing projects around your house, check out this video right here. I'll walk you through a common way to fix a water leak at an outdoor spigot, which is a super common problem for most of us. Or check out this video right here where I use that crimp Pro Press crimping tool to crimp off a ball valve on a 1/2-inch water line, which can come in super handy if you have copper running through your home. So thanks for joining me on this video, and we'll catch you on one of those next ones. Take care.